Hi everyone, my name is Raghav. I'm on the Filecoin Plus team where I focus on trust and transparency. Over the last few hours you've heard things like data cap, you've also heard like block rewards. I'll be going a little deeper into those aspects. Some of this content might not be new to this audience, but for those that'll be listening to this later on, we just want to give like a systems overview of what Filecoin Plus is, and then discuss some of the improvements and focus areas that we are working on. The agenda for today is a mile-high overview of the Filecoin network, overview of the program, which includes the goals, roles, and processes, diving a bit into what data cap is, talking about, again, on a higher level, the economics and blockchain, and why we use a blockchain in this process, and then talking a bit about the tools for clients and notaries. And some of these terms will become clear as we go through the presentation. So at the very mile-high level, Filecoin is attempting to create a marketplace for decentralized storage. So we have clients who are data owners, then you have storage providers, and then there's intermediaries sometimes, although not always, that are facilitating these transactions. Why do we use a blockchain? A decentralized ledger for truth that can tell us when a deal was made, between whom, what size, and so on. A very important thing to note is that the data itself is not stored on-chain, but the network is a facilitator. So storage providers are able to provide proof, such as proof of space-time and replication. That is also an additional reason why we use a blockchain to facilitate this sort of marketplace. Again, this is going into a bit of detail, but the network is chunked into sectors. Storage providers pack deals into that sector and then seal it. Empty sectors can also be sealed as committed capacity on the network. And then there are some costs and benefits to do so that we can dive into a bit more as we move forward. So, this was supposed to, okay. Cool. Well, this slide was supposed to tell you the difference between what pebibytes and a petabyte is, but looks like the animations aren't working, so we'll probably skip over those. So let's dive into the Filecoin Plus as a program. So Filecoin Plus, you can think of it as adding a social trust layer within a trustless ecosystem. So Filecoin Plus is mostly focused on onboarding useful data on the Filecoin network. And so before we dive in, it's very important to note that we prefer calling the Filecoin Plus program as Filecoin Plus or FIL Plus, not F capital I capital L. That is something that you can go buy on an exchange. It's very important that we make that distinction to avoid confusion amongst the audience. So the goal, as I mentioned, of the Filecoin, the FIL Plus program is to onboard useful data. We do so through a resource called data cap that is created on the go. That leads us into the technological dependencies, which are the programs that manage the use of data cap. And then the programs are governed through a community, and that community has a lot of active individuals and volunteers who act as decision makers within this community. And the last part of how this community interacts leads into the social engineering side of things, which are the interaction mechanisms. So, short answer, notaries are the individuals who perform due diligence, otherwise known as KYC, on clients to verify them. The reason this is important is if a storage provider is trying to interact with the data owner, they always have to do their own KYC because they need to make sure that the data that they're onboarding is useful data, it's not illegal data, so to say. And then the Filecoin Plus program ensures that there's some form of KYC that has already been performed on the data owners so that storage providers can focus on what they do the best. We'll go into the dynamics more, but notaries send data cap to clients. Client burns the data cap. This is very important because data cap is as a novel resource, it's a single-use credit, so it's not a revolving credit within the economy. And then storage provider gets a quality-adjusted power increase on the network, and I'll talk about what that means. So let's dive into what DataCap is. DataCap is a novel resource within the Filecoin network. It is granted by notaries to trustworthy clients. Clients use DataCap to make storage deals. As I mentioned, it's consumed as it's used. It cannot be transferred between client addresses. This is very important because we want to make sure that there's no collusion or secondary markets that are being created within the FIL Plus economy. And then storage providers receive extra rewards on the network for serving the deals made through DataCap. This is a good diagram that explains what is happening. So at the core of everything is the community. The community makes decisions about notary elections, as well as how much DataCap do we want to produce. It goes to the root key holders. The root key holders are a shadowy cabal of folks that are spread across PL, Ethereum Foundation, and we do know their client address on chain, but we intentionally don't reveal their identity because they are sort of these folks who have this novel resource, and it's important to protect their identity. So from the root key holders, DataCap is approved to notaries. Notaries are elected through an election process that happens twice a year, and then notaries give DataCap to clients. When clients request DataCap, and then clients are able to deploy the DataCap to storage providers. I'll pause here to see if there's any questions, or we can keep moving. Okay, I don't see any hands. So, why do storage providers care about DataCap or the FIL Plus program? Right now, there's already a lot of work that goes into sealing a sector to get space-time rewards, and storage providers can actually get incremental rewards by participating in the FIL Plus program. Again, as I mentioned, they are also able to mitigate some of the liability that potentially comes with onboarding unknown data, especially when you have data that from providers that might not be in your region. So that's another use case that the FIL Plus program offers. The DataCap economics, so this would explain a bit more of why the storage providers care. So on the Filecoin network, there are blocks that are mined every 30 seconds. You can think of them as lottery tickets. So when a storage provider gets DataCap, their power on the network becomes 10x. What that means is that they have a 10x chance to get a block reward. So that's very, just to clarify, they're not getting 10 times more block rewards. They're just getting 10x quality adjusted power, which is their probability of getting more lottery tickets in this economy. So here are some links that you can visit. There's a GitHub repo, and also looking at, this is all happening in real time. So if you go to filscout.com, you can see how some of these things are happening in real time. And then, so the short answer here is that right now, storage providers are able to provide zero fill deals because they are able to, the incentives are pretty high just from the block rewards. And this might change as the network grows, but as I mentioned before, the goal of the FIL Plus program is to onboard useful data and move away from quote-unquote garbage data. So the FIL Plus program is able to incentivize onboarding of that particular type of data. And then the path to DataCap as a client, who are data owners in this case, there's a couple of pathways. So the easiest one would be there's an auto verification process where you can go to verify.glyph.io. That gives you about 32 GIB of DataCap to experiment with the program. And then if clients have data between 0 to 50 TIBs, they can find a notary within the network and then a request for DataCap. They work with notary within the regions, and the assessment rubric for what qualifies as quality data is assessed by those notaries. So notaries have a lot of independence and leeway in how they make decisions. And all that is because we want to make sure that this process and program can sustain by itself, and we're not telling them what to do. And then finally, we have the large data set onboarding, which we also call LDN, which is when we're talking about petabytes of data. So when that happens, there's a different process where you have to work with about 3 to 4 notaries over a period of time to make sure that the data cap is allocated. And the data cap is also, that is approved, is not allocated right away. It is approved over time just to make sure that the parties are not exploiting the resource. This is a dashboard. This is the most recent stats. This might have changed over the last 24 hours, but what we can see here is we have about 52 notaries. We just finished the most recent round of elections about 2 months ago. And then clients with data cap, there's about 1,624 clients. And then these numbers are projected to grow pretty significantly over the next 2 quarters. So we're pretty excited about that. Here are some other metrics to think about, how has the program grown? The program is only 1 year old, but we've made significant progress. The last time I checked, about more than 70% of the data is now being onboarded through the FIL Plus program, which is quite exciting. And then some of the things that we are focused and where kind of I'm focused on right now is thinking about, of course, making the application process a lot easier, a lot quicker. How can we automate some of the due diligence processes for notaries so that they are spending less time doing admin work and more time thinking about things like public data sets, and how can we work with them to increase value in the value chain. Also, we want to decrease the turnaround time for root key holders, and as well as we're working on new metrics like engagement metrics for community governance. So that includes like meeting cadence, notifications, and other aspects of social engineering. And then another thing that we're focused on is something called the Enterprise FIL Plus Working Group that is looking into how can we onboard private data on the Falcon network. This has been in the works for a while, and we're pretty excited to see how this is going to evolve over this year. We're also working on tooling to something called FIL Plus Watch and FIL Plus Canvas that we'll be revealing in the coming few weeks and months that allows the community to look at collusion, look at like how the notaries and like data owners are interacting to bring more transparency within this program and within the Falcon network. So you can learn more about the FIL Plus program here. There's a lot of content on YouTube, and we're pretty excited about that. And finally, if you have any questions, please let me know. You can reach me at Raghav Ramade on Slack and Twitter, as well as I encourage you to join the FIL Plus channel on Falcon Slack. You'll learn about the upcoming governance calls, as well as any updates that are happening on the FIL Plus side of things. Thank you so much, and I'm happy to take any questions at this point.